Hey everybody, it's Allie and welcome to our Y&R chat for Sunday, June 8th, 2014. So Austin, he's not the sweet, boyish camera guy that he wanted us to believe, wanted Summer to believe. Yes. The week started off, he and Summer are getting very close. They're kissing a lot. They're talking a lot, developing this intimacy. They're both hanging out at the taping of Avery's show. And there's this moment where Leslie shows up on the set to talk with her friend and partner, Avery, and Summer is immediately disgusted. She realizes that Leslie is the one who got Ian out of jail, put him back onto the streets, and Summer really lashes out at Leslie. And as soon as Austin sees how upset this has made Summer, he throws in his 2 cents too. He's kind of fanning the flames and revealing that he also has some pretty strong opinions about lawyers. Almost like he has some kind of personal experience with a lawyer that he has to get off his chest. So they get all huffy, and Avery is not happy about this connection that's formed between Summer and Austin, and she doesn't like how lippy he's gotten with her and how it's, kind of rubbed off on Summer a little bit. And so Avery's feeling very edgy about this relationship that's developing. And my question is, when did that happen? Because I thought Avery liked Austin. I don't know why I'm focusing on this, but I thought this week, well, it seemed like it wasn't until he got involved with Summer that Avery started disliking him, or maybe it was that he made some kind of offhand comment about Dylan or something, but it's almost like Avery's kind of mom instinct, in quotes, is showing up here, and she's wanting to protect Summer because Phyllis can't be there to do it. Well, Avery and Summer have a big blow up, and Summer declares, "You're not my mother, Avery, so just stay out of my life." And she stomps off with Austin right on her heels, and Avery's left standing there like, what just happened? Her life is becoming increasingly complicated, including everything going on with this cooking show, including everything going on with Ian, and especially this online stalker. She looks online and realizes that she has yet another message from 4MJ, and the messages are becoming increasingly harassment-y, like they're getting aggressive now, saying revenge is a dish best served cold. It's getting creepy. It's getting a little close to home. It's almost as if someone has a personal vendetta that they need to enact for her. So just as Avery's realizing that the harassment is going up a notch, Summer goes back to Austin's apartment, and I guess because the tensions are so high, they start to kiss, and Summer really wants him. I think Summer is really looking for a way to connect in with someone that she can identify with, and she has decided that Austin is it. And not only is she wanting to kiss him, but she asks him to make love to her for the first time. I was a little surprised. I don't know why, but Summer does not come off as virginal to me. I guess I assumed she had already had sex. I don't know. Did you guys feel that way? I just thought, well, I don't know. She was a bad girl turned good girl. So I'm surprised that she wasn't getting it on at some point in her past, but apparently it's her first time. She's asking Austin to take her virginity, and he's starting to back off. little by little, Austin's outer exterior is starting to peel away. He's talking about how he can't make love to her. He can't be her boyfriend. He came here to Genoa City to do a job. He called it a job. And after the job is over, then he's going to be leaving town. And he starts to backpedal and say, just, you know, there's only one thing he's here for, and then he's gone, and he has to complete it, and it's something he has to do. And of course Summer is thinking that he's talking about the cooking show, but we know there's more to it. He's planning something, some kind of revenge on Avery. And even as they're making out, we see that his computer screen is open to a video of hers, and with the comment from 4MJ pulled right up on the screen. So that's the moment that I realized, oh, okay, well, his overreaction about lawyers back in the previous scene tells me that Avery probably got someone off the hook who killed his mother. Avery worked for the Innocence Foundation. She got off as a defense attorney. A lot of people who probably, you know, some were innocent and probably some weren't innocent. So in my head, I thought, well, he's already talked about his mother. I wonder if somehow Avery got his mother's killer off the hook, or shoot, I don't know, maybe he wasn't able to get his mother off the hook for something else. Maybe his mother went to jail. Maybe his mother's Sheila, for all I know. That wouldn't even be a surprise at this point. But I just thought, okay, how much do you want to bet that his mother's initials are MJ? If it's all 4MJ. That's just my guess. But there was a scene even after that where we actually see him typing a threatening letter on one of her videos, or a comment, I guess. Something like, justice is about to be served. Do you have any more legal cliches? Like, can you work any more legal and cooking cliches together? Like, is all of this coming to a head now because you've run out of those cliches to leave? Like, you have no more quippy comments to leave on her videos, so now it's like, all right, that was my last one. I've gone through my list. All right, check. Now it's time to actually go through with this revenge I'm talking about. So, as we predicted, he's a bad guy. Now, Avery hasn't figured it out yet. She goes to confront Ian. Right at the beginning of the week, she believes that Ian is the one that's sending these messages, but something about that confrontation, she goes to his hotel room. This is just a quick side note, but as Avery goes to Ian's hotel room, there's another young girl coming out of his hotel room, and Avery just let this young girl go by and said nothing. And did anyone else think, wait a minute, if Ian is such a bad guy, he's the villain of Genoa City, he's preying on the weak-minded, he's a cult leader, for crying out loud, wouldn't you grab that girl in the hallway and say, oh my gosh, you need to know about him, look at this, this, and this, like, I would want to save someone from Ian if I believed he was such a bad guy. But Avery just let this girl go by without any comment whatsoever. That was just a side note, but something that I noticed. So Avery goes into Ian's room, and he's very successful at getting up under her skin, at making her think that maybe something she did is what's caused this stalker. Maybe she is feeling guilty about something. Maybe there's something she did wrong that's causing this. So he gets up under her skin about it, and it rattles her even more, but also gives her, I think, the inclination that he's not the one leaving the messages. So she seems to realize at that point that, maybe it is something even more sinister. Maybe I do have an enemy out there. So Dylan's out of town. She doesn't really have anyone else to talk to, and she runs into Nick, and she decides to confide in him and say, I'm actually feeling really scared about this. I don't know who's out there. I don't know what they're planning, but it's sounding really desperate, and I miss Dylan. I'm not even sure if I could tell Dylan, though, because he's going to assume that it's Ian. He's going to go out and beat Ian up or who knows what, and, he has things he needs to focus on. I don't want it to all be about me. So she's feeling like she can't exactly confide in Dylan, but later, within the next episode or so, Dylan does return to town, and Avery has gone to Paul about all of this, trying to find out, you know, can we go to the social networking site? Can we find the IP address of the person who's leaving these comments? So she's called the police. The police are on it, and as soon as Dylan gets back into town, Paul comes to Dylan and kind of starts asking him questions. And Dylan says, you know, I might be able to provide some more information about this. First of all, he wasn't happy that Avery hadn't told him that the stalking had sort of gone up a notch. But what he told Paul was, I think I know who it is. I think that her ex-husband is behind this somehow, Joe. You know, he's someone who would certainly have a grudge against her, and that could be the case. So Paul, I think, is going to look into that. I don't know why, but I don't think that's, I don't know. I don't think that's it. I don't see how the connection, how that would work. But anyway, after Dylan talks to Paul, he's worried about her. He goes to find her, goes to confront her and tell her, you know, or wants to keep her safe, but she's gone. Avery has unfortunately been convinced by Austin that she has to come to his apartment to take some still photos. Okay, well, that's your first red flag there, Avery. You don't need to go to his apartment to take still photos. You could walk out into the courtyard and do that. You could do that in your apartment. If your apartment is appropriately lit for filming video, it's appropriately lit for doing stills. So you shouldn't go to creepy guy's apartment, especially not when you're in a position where you're not feeling safe, when you know you have a stalker out there. So she's at his apartment. I'm sure that he's going to trap her there and reveal his motive next week. I'm looking forward to finding out what exactly it is. I don't know if Summer's going to end up going up in there and being able to find Avery and save her. I don't know if it'll be Dylan. I don't know if she'll save herself. I'm not sure how the whole thing will culminate. The thing I'm kind of focused on now is, what is the motive and does it connect to a larger storyline? I'm wondering if there's any chance that Willa could be his mother, Ian's ex-wife. I'm thinking back to when Austin said something about how his mother was gone one instant. He didn't say she was dead. As far as I can remember, I don't think he specifically said that she was dead. He just said that she was gone. So could it be Willa? Is there any chance that that could be his mother? Or is there any chance that Ian could be his father? So as soon as Dylan gets back into town, he goes to Victor and reports that Willa was gone. He went to find her and she had already left town. Apparently she and or Ian had caught wind of the fact that Dylan was there or going to be there, so she fled right before he got there. So Dylan's coming back to Victor saying, sorry, mission not accomplished. Here's your big envelope of cash back. That big envelope of cash just feels like it's gonna play a role somehow. Victor tells him, oh no, why don't you just keep that as a retainer? Just keep that, you know, and if the opportunity presents itself to somehow get Ian out of town, you go ahead and do it. I don't know what Victor was asking Dylan to do. It almost sounded like, because we know paying him off is not the right move. It almost sounded like, if you want to kill your father, here's at least a big envelope of cash as compensation for you. Dylan, luckily, he was smart enough to just return the cash. Victor insisted he keep it, but Dylan just sets it down on his desk. Of course, right as Nikki's walking in the door, he's just like, no, here you go. All right, goodbye. Enough said. Very, very smart, because it was going to end up getting blood on your hands one way or another. And by the way, Nikki is going to be extremely upset if Victor ended up getting Dylan into trouble right along with himself. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with Ian. Y&R could very easily switch it up and keep him around. I mean, I think he is an A1 superstar soap villain, so I would love to see him around. In fact, I think I'll actually be sad when Ian dies, if he does die, but it's definitely possible Y&R could keep him around. My instinct just says all signs are still pointing to the fact that he's going to end up dead. I don't know. The other thing I was thinking is there any chance that instead of that, Y&R could decide to try to redeem Ian in some way or another? There's no bad guy who is not redeemable. I mean, look what they did with the character of Adam. There are numerous characters who have come onto the show as bad. Kevin, Michael, and they get redeemed in the end. So it's possible. And I almost wonder if Y&R... if there's any chance that maybe Ian could be the one to end up saving Avery from Austin somehow and then kind of putting him in debt, or putting Dylan and Avery in debt to him, that would kind of be a good table turner, don't you think? Victor is in very hot water with this government investigation. He's got, you know, many agencies and reporters and everyone just breathing down his neck. And it's just one of many times that Victor has run afoul of the law, even in business. Do you guys remember several years back when Nick turned him into the FCC? I can't remember what it was for. Maybe you guys can school me on that. I want to say it had something to do with beauty of nature or something. Like, I can't, he's some kind of inside information, insider trading or something, but Nick found out about it and turned him into the FCC, and of course Victor disowned Nick. You know, you're not my son, kind of like how Nick disowned Victor a couple weeks ago. You're not my father. It all washes out in the end, always, as it will with Nikki and Victor. Victor is at the athletic club having breakfast. Nikki stops by. This reporter comes in and starts hounding Victor, and Nikki stands up and chases that reporter out of the room like a lioness. Just protecting her man. Get out! Victor said, like, what did he say? He said, you know, I believe Devon Hamilton bought this place to keep people like you out of here. I forgot about that. That is kind of the circumstance under which Devon bought the club, to keep the press out. But anyway, Victor, you know, he can't take care of himself. Victor is a poor little wounded puppy, of course. So Nikki takes him up to her hotel room as a safe harbor. Please, Victor does not need protecting. He's tough as nails. His skin is made of leather, I think. But she takes him up to his room and starts to try to reason with him and be sensitive with him. And she mentions, by the way, that Victoria had just told her about the pregnancy. She says something like, our family's about ready to get larger, Victor, and indicates that Victoria told her about the pregnancy. And I'm really disappointed that we didn't get to see that scene. Why? Why am I seeing Stitch on my screen 5 times an episode? No, it's more than that. He's constantly with Victoria. Why isn't Victoria confiding in Nikki more? Why are they not as close? They're very close. So I wanted to see the scene where, and more than I wanted to see the scene where Victor found out, I want to see the scene where Nikki found out. I want Nikki's advice. I want Nikki's perspective on this whole thing. And we did get it a little more later in the week. But I wanted to see that reveal, and I was disappointed that we didn't get it. But Nikki and Victor up in her hotel room, they did kiss. And it seemed to me that they were kind of reaffirming their bond there. Was there ever a moment's doubt? Ever? Nikki's, you know, the next day she goes to Victor and is like, I need to talk to you about the kiss. I don't know what it meant, and we need to talk about it. Nikki, just go back to him. I mean, we all know that you want to, and you will eventually. On Monday's show, there was a really good confrontation between Billy and Stitch. Billy comes to the hospital and gets up in Stitch's face, and he says something like, you know, you slept with her once. You may be a doctor, but I'm a gambler, and I think my odds are better. I loved that line. You may be a doctor, but I'm a gambler, and I think my odds are better. I like that. But do you guys think that Victoria slept with Stitch once? I guess I thought they were sleeping together. Was it really only just once? If Stitch got her pregnant in one and done, he's got some strong stuff. Maybe Chloe should have stolen his sperm instead. It's not necessarily true, though, that Billy is shooting blanks, because if they've gone through the fertility process, I think that they would have been able to determine if Billy had viable sperm. I guess I always thought that the issue was Victoria, because she's had problems carrying to term before. So it really is, I don't know. It's half and half. I don't know whose kid it's going to be. It really is up in the air. Maybe YNR's just throwing it out there, seeing how viewers react, and who knows? Who knows what side of the fence the ball is going to land on. Well, I am enjoying Billy versus Stitch. I am also enjoying Victoria versus Chelsea, because finally at the beginning of this week's episodes, Victoria confronts Chelsea and tells her to back off at the same time. I do think that Chelsea has good intentions, but if I were Victoria, I would tell her to keep her greasy paws off of him too. They're still married. I'm sorry. It says a lot that Victoria never divorced him. All she did was illegally separate, and to me that says she's trying to kind of keep him on the hook. It almost, to me, feels like she's trying to teach him a lesson. She's trying to make him squirm a little bit, and I don't think she intended to get pregnant, obviously, by Stitch. I think this whole thing kind of backfired on her, but it's just my perspective that she still loves Billy, and I think the fact that she told Chelsea to stay away from him kind of says it all. She still loves her husband. I don't know. Billy's having a hard time staying away from Chelsea, and maybe it's a good thing. He asks Chelsea to help him find out what it is that Stitch's secret is. Finally, if Stitch is really hiding something, then it takes a con to know a con. So here we go. Chelsea's con artist past coming back into play. Maybe she can actually use this for good this time. I don't know if she's ever going to get the chance, because we saw this scene of Adam working with some guy. This guy comes up to Adam, the shadowy backside of Adam, and gives him photos, candid photos of Chelsea. So obviously Adam's having her followed and photographed. It's just so creepy. And the guy said something to Adam like, well, it won't be long before you can see them in person. So that tells me Adam is planning to kind of kidnap them. Planning to kidnap Connor and Chelsea. I don't know, maybe he's in Paris the way they always planned, and maybe he's gonna have her kidnapped and brought to him, and maybe she won't have a chance to help Billy bust open Stitch's huge secret. I don't know, we'll have to see, but gosh. Victoria is getting closer with Stitch, and even though I know there are a lot of Victoria and Stitch fans, aren't you kind of scared to know what his secret is? I don't know. After the whole confrontation with Chelsea, Victoria goes to Stitch, and she does seem to be getting closer to him. She says, I know that I told you I want my space, but I also realize that I can't do this alone. And, I have come to trust you, and, I do enjoy your company. And I got a really good voicemail. It was actually 2 weeks ago from Connor, and I forgot to mention it last week. But Connor was saying, what if the twist is the baby is Billy's, but she finds out at the end of all this that she really wants to be with Stitch? And I got a voicemail just this past week from Anna, who said, her perspective of the whole thing is that Victoria is leaning toward wanting to be with Stitch. So it's so interesting how we all kind of watch this through our own windows. And I know, I 100% realize that I'm affected by my like of David Thomas Billy, because if it were Billy Miller, if there was never a recast, then I think I probably would be more leaning toward the Stitch angle, just because I was so sick of Billy as that kind of playboy, just sort of overgrown man-child way that Billy Miller had played it. And I don't want to say I don't dislike Billy Miller at all. I actually do like him, but I think I had kind of grown tired of the chemistry of those two. But now that David Tom has taken the role, to me, even though they're saying he looks younger, it feels like a more mature portrayal, and it makes me want him and Victoria together. And so I think it's coloring the way that I'm viewing it. But I think it's really interesting that, it seems like the fans are kind of divided. A lot of people are interested in a reunion with Billy and Victoria. A lot of people are interested in seeing her move on, so we'll have to just see how it pans out. I really don't know. I was happy, by the way, just to kind of finally see a conversation between Nikki and Victoria. I think Victoria needs her mom. I think she needs her mom's advice. And Nikki maybe is just a little bit, I don't know, again, maybe it's just my perspective, but Nikki witnesses another interaction between Billy and Victoria and says to Victoria, you seem like you still love your husband. Are you gravitating towards Stitch because you're trying to avoid Billy? I think that's a good question. And Victoria, of course, claims that she's being honest with both of the guys, and she is. I just wonder if she's being honest with herself. Why the separation? Why just the separate? Why not just divorce Billy if you don't want to be with him anymore? She seems genuinely torn. Maybe she's right smack dab in the middle. Maybe she doesn't know what she wants. And maybe she's waiting to find out whose baby it is to help her decide. That may be the case. I don't know. I worry about Stitch not being honest. Didn't he say last week that he was going to tell Victoria everything? Well, he sees her constantly. He's constantly in her face. Isn't it time to tell her then? Tell her the truth. If you're so worried about her finding out, tell her yourself. And if it's not bad, then you've got nothing to worry about. So what is it, Stitch? Tell us your secret, Stitch. I just see something in his eyes now that seems sinister to me. And I want to find out what the secret is. Chelsea, I liked Chelsea this week. She is trying to get close to Stitch to try to find out all of the info that she needs to get to his wife. Let's find out where his wife is, to find out what his big secret is. So Chelsea sits down with Stitch and just ever so gingerly pulls the information out of him, where his wife is, what her name is, and he doesn't even know what she's done. She successfully gets Stitch's wife's name, the city, the address. She gives all of this info to Billy on a silver platter, tells him exactly what to do with it. What would he do without her? They're great little partners at this point. Chelsea's coaching him. He makes a phone call to Jenna in Australia, pretending that he's a sales guy, a telemarketer, ready to give her a free credit report. And he totally blows it. Does not successfully get the information. So Chelsea suggests, and he agrees, he's gonna have to go to Australia and come back as a different actor. Okay, let's get into it. I'm hearing the rumors. I'm hearing the rumors that Michael Muhney has been seen back on the YNR set. In fact, Soap Opera Digest reported that Michael Muhney is back on the YNR set. So, what do we think about this, you guys? I mean, okay, if it seems like YNR tried to recast Adam. Is it possible that they just weren't finding the right Adam and decided to go back to Muhney? I mean, if Michael Muhney does come back as Adam, then that must mean that the whole Hunter King sexual assault rumor was completely untrue. Because, I mean, first of all, charges were never filed. That's odd to me. If that was really the story, then why wouldn't she have filed charges against him? I mean, I don't know. Was it enough just to have him lose his job? I don't know. If somebody sexually assaulted me, I would probably file charges unless there just wasn't evidence or whatever. But the thing is, if Michael Muhney was some kind of sexual predator, then they would not let him back on the set with her. There's no way. And if it was all untrue, if this whole sexual assault thing was completely untrue, why would Michael Muhney want to go back when YNR did nothing to stand by him? If it was a total lie, then YNR let him go down for all of that and did nothing to stand by him. In fact, when all of that was going on, to everything I read, there were only two people that stood by Michael Muhney, and that was Sharon Case and Melissa Claire Egan. Sharon and Chelsea. It was only his two female co-stars that stood by him. Everybody else was throwing him under the bus. Eileen Davidson, Eric Braeden, Melody Thomas Scott even, I think, said some stuff about it. I think Doug Davidson said some stuff about it. I even want to say Christoph St. John did too. So nobody stood by him. None of the executives stood by him. In fact, I kind of remember that the last producer, Lynn Marie, or the Bell, Maria Arena Bell, yes, she came in and said, yeah, Michael Muhney, he was a jerk. And then, I don't know if Jill Phelps ever actually said anything about it, but no, hardly anyone stood by Michael Muhney when that whole thing went down. If it was untrue, then they just threw him to the dogs. Why would he want to work there again? That's just my question. But, I will say, and Gary had called into my voicemail and mentioned this as well, and I was thinking the same thing. Soap Opera Digest reported that he was on the set, that Michael Muhney is on the set, and they don't just report everything. In fact, when I go to look for casting updates, I don't believe anything until I see it on Soap Opera Digest, CBS Soaps in Depth, like the main soap reporting magazines, like until it's kind of officially out there. There are a lot of gossip sites. I mean, people talk about casting and this and that. I mean, everybody's talking about it. Especially in like this day and age, there are a million billion blogs and everybody has an opinion and everybody has a secret source. And so I don't believe anything until I read it in those magazines, and there it is in black and white. So I don't know what to think. I am keeping my hopes very, very low because I feel like I already lost my Adam once. I can't bear to lose him again. Kevin is having a hard time letting go of Chloe. Understandably, the fact that she had sex with him right before she went off to her treatment facility in California was a major leading on. I mean, she led him on. It kind of feels like Chloe led Kevin along a lot, and now he's having a hard time dealing with it. Chloe apparently emails Kevin this week saying that he can't visit her. He cannot come to California and visit her, and as a matter of fact, she may never come back to Genoa City. So, I don't blame him for being a little upset about that. But that's what you get when you're involved with someone who's crazy, I suppose. So, I'm looking forward to finding out what Y&R does with Kevin next, because I feel most connected with him when he's down and sad, and that's bad. I don't know why I feel that way, but there was a scene where he was in the elevator this week, and he's throwing, just alone. He's having an alone moment in the elevator, and he throws his phone up against the wall and cracks it, and he's just angry. And I connect with that dark, brooding sadness in Kevin way more than the cutesy, let me hold your purse for you, Chloe, Kevin. You know? So I'm kind of excited to see what's going to happen with him. I wish he would get a relationship with, I don't know, maybe a dark girl, maybe Raven, bring Raven back, but somebody kind of along the lines of Raven, because I don't know if Chloe's coming back. I mean, certainly not right away, but, eventually she will. It's kind of interesting because Esther, of course, is having a hard time dealing with the fact that Chloe is gone now, too. And there's this scene at the Chancellor Mansion where Esther's there with Jill, and Maddie, Lillian Kane's daughter, is there. And she's laughing in the background and playing. And Esther remarks that it's been a while since they've heard that sound of a little girl playing and laughing in the house. And they haven't heard that since Delia. And something about that specific moment reminded me of how significant the character of Delia was. She was the granddaughter of both Esther and Jill. It was something that Esther and Jill shared. When Esther and Jill have almost, like Esther's the B storyline to Katherine. Like, she's like the number two in the rivalry. Esther was there for most of the Jill-Katherine rivalry, and in some ways Esther is kind of the leftover of Katherine and that whole feud. So it was something that Esther and Jill shared, Delia. And it also made me think, Really, if Y&R killed Delia, which we were all very ticked off about, and then made Chloe pregnant with Delia too, less than a year later, just pulling myself out of it and taking a fresh look at it, that's bold. Like, this show should be called Bold Ass Daytime Writers. Kane is very quick to let Colin know exactly what he sacrificed for him. Kane could have told Victor that Colin was the one who planted this whole Bonaventure seed and was the one who convinced Kane to purchase it and ultimately is resulting in Victor being investigated. But there seems to be a strange sense of loyalty there between Kane and Colin. Or maybe it's that everybody wants to trust him, but at the same time knows that they really shouldn't trust him, and they shouldn't. Jill and Colin have the necklace appraised. Some guy comes out to the house, takes a look at it, lets them know it's worth $18 million, and Katherine stashed it in the chandelier. $18 million? Jill was absolutely thrilled to find out that the necklace was worth that much. She put it on right away and pranced around in it, looked beautiful. It's kind of funny that she conjured up a whole lot of love for Katherine immediately upon finding out that it was worth $18 million. It almost kind of bothered me because it was all poor me until she finds out that Katherine actually left her an $8 million prize. Jill did refuse to sell it, and I appreciate that. I think she is happy to have this piece of Katherine's legacy. But the weird thing is, Jill made Colin sign an agreement that they can't sell the necklace unless they both agree. I don't understand why she cut him in on the deal at all. Why does she need him for any of this? It was her inheritance from Katherine. It has nothing to do with Colin. If he's totally trustworthy, then he should agree to sign a document saying that he has no rights to it whatsoever. And it's not as if Jill is 100% broke. Whatever it is that Colin owes, surely they can scrape it together. They wouldn't have to sell the necklace at all. I don't know why. I don't know. It just seems odd that they have this deal. It just feels like all Jill did by making him sign that was give him a chance to stab her in the back first. As soon as Jill leaves the room, he calls somebody over to come and steal the necklace, some goon. And then the very next evening, Lily and Kane have to take Charlie to the doctor, and Maddie decides she will only spend time with Colin. She wants to see Grandpa Colin. So Jill and Colin are babysitting Maddie, and Jill leaves her $18 million necklace in the living room in a box where she thinks it's safe, and next thing you know, it's mysteriously gone. She thinks instantly that Colin took it, and the look in her eyes, you stole it. She just had this look in her eyes, you betrayed me. The second I put it down, you betrayed me. It was so sad. She tries to have him arrested, but there's no evidence that he took it. As soon as he can, though, he gets out of the house and he meets in the park with this cohort, this guy that he told to steal the necklace, and asks where it is. And the guy claims that he didn't take it. He promises, oh, I promise, cross my heart I didn't take it. I don't know why we should believe him anyway, but as soon as he says that, it kind of dawns on Colin that, you know, if you didn't take it, I didn't take it, maybe Jill took it. Maybe she's the one that double-crossed me. And I kind of thought that too, but because, you know, way back she was saying to Lauren something about, you know, I'm planning on getting the one up on him. Like, he thinks he's got me under his thumb, but I'm gonna get him. So I thought maybe she was behind it, but she's at home with Lauren searching frantically for the necklace, and I thought, oh, how much you want to bet the kid took it? I mean, they were playing hide and seek. The kid probably took the necklace. Nobody could find it. Sure enough, the next day, Maddie pulls it out of her bag and Lily's like, where did you get this? I mean, it's practically so sparkly, it's blinding. Where on earth did you get this necklace? It's actually a good thing that Maddie ended up stealing it, because if she didn't have it, then Colin's goon would have gotten it. Maddie brings back the necklace with Lily, and Jill feels awful for suspecting Colin, but the truth is Colin did plan to take it. I mean, that guy could have showed up, he could have taken the necklace, he could have run away with it for himself and never to be heard from again. It's just, I don't know. I just don't know about this whole thing. It feels not good. Is the music box mystery over? So the music box thing was, there's nothing more to that? It's just a music box? It didn't ultimately have anything to do with where she found the necklace. It's just so unfitting. And Gary had called my voicemail and left a message saying, you know, this whole thing just doesn't even feel very flattering to Catherine's memory. And I agree. I mean, even like the fact that Colin's involved at all, I mean, because there's almost this sense of, well, did this whole mystery, was that intended to lead Jill toward love? Because remember Catherine's note where it was, I want you to have all that I valued. Well, it's love. And there's almost this implication of, well, what Katherine really wanted for Jill was love. Well, Colin, I mean, as much as I love Colin, he's a fox in the hen house, you know? And I want to trust him, but he's not really trustworthy. I mean, this man could have completely stolen that necklace from her, stolen her inheritance, stolen the last piece of Katherine that she had to hang on to. And I don't know, as much as I like him, he's not trustworthy. But nobody really ruffles Jill's feathers the way he does. It's Lily's birthday, and Kane gives her another Paris-themed gift. It's a scavenger hunt, and it all leads to these fabulous designer earrings that are French that he bought for her. She's gonna need some fabulous jewelry, though, to take the sting off of her father's relationship with Hilary. It's pretty much the only thing she can think about. Since it's her birthday, Neil brings her a gift, and right away Lily doesn't want it at all. She thinks, oh, did you pick it out? Did Hilary pick it out? Did your new girlfriend pick it out? And it's very tense. I think Neil is still trying to be a father, is still trying to show that he wants his children to be put first, but he does deserve to have a life of his own. He kind of tries to give her this olive branch, tries to reason with her. In fact, Neil said to Lily something I hadn't thought about. You know, you're getting real close with Kelly, I noticed. Well, Kelly caused issues in Billy and Victoria's marriage. And, you know, let's look back at your history with Kane. Kane lied to you on multiple occasions, including about his identity, including about his death. You're able to forgive him. You're able to forgive Kelly. Why can't you forgive Hilary for what she did? And I thought that was a really good argument. The only difference really is that Hilary tried to come in between her and her man. That was a direct slight to Lily as she sees it. So I don't blame Lily for not liking Hilary. I think, unfortunately, she kind of does have to let Neil live his own life. If it were me, I would dislike her, but, you know, understand that it's Neil's decision. He's a big boy. Besides, I think we all know it's not gonna last. I mean, Devon is in the gym lifting weights, and Hilary's off in the corner watching him. And as he's furiously lifting that dumbbell, he accidentally drops it on his foot. I don't lift weights, but I mean, if you're gonna be lifting heavy things, isn't there some kind of fail-safe so that you don't drop it on your foot and break every single one of your toes? Well, Devon tries to play it cool, but Hilary sees the whole thing and insists that he go to the emergency room. And so Devon's sitting there in the exam room, and they're talking, and I don't even know what they were saying. I was noticing how Devon is really buff. I mean, the way he was just sitting on that exam room table, like, when did he become buff? Like, I just always still, in my head, think of him as that skinny kid at the rec center. I know I mentioned that last week too, but that's in my head sort of how I think of Devon, and now he's this buff billionaire. I don't know when it happened, but it did. I mean, I'm looking at Devon, looking at Hilary, looking at Devon, looking at Hilary, and thinking, why is Hilary not with Devon again? Why are these two people not together again? I forget. Oh yeah, it's because Hilary is busy making permanent plans to live with Neil full-time. She decided this week, I want to live with you full-time to show everyone that our relationship is serious. Who are you trying to convince, Hilary? I mean, this relationship, we all know, has a ticking timer on it, and the countdown doesn't have that much further to go. Tyler had a heart-to-heart talk with Lily this week, which I really appreciated. He's kind of drunk at the bar telling Lily that he had to call off his engagement with Abby, and Lily's trying to talk him through it, and it's odd. Lily actually acknowledged what he said way back during his Lily obsession, that he was attracted to Lily because Lily reminded him of his ex. And now we know who that was. It was Mariah. And I'm surprised that Y&R brought that up, because that's always been in the back of my head, and I thought it was just something that dropped off. It was clearly and obviously before we knew that Mariah was going to be this Cassie look-alike. I mean, all of that happened way before. That could not possibly have been planned. So I was surprised that Y&R brought it back up, especially because now that we know his ex is Mariah, what on earth do Lily and Mariah even have in common? Because not much as far as I can tell. I really can't think of anything. They seem like totally different people. So thanks for bringing that back up, Y&R, but it really didn't help the credibility. I don't know, weird. So Nick is really wanting to protect Sharon. He is concerned about how she is going to bat for Mariah, going to Portland for Mariah, and so Nick confronts Tyler. He's also, of course, he's concerned about his sister Abby. It's so weird. Nick and Abby have not had any connection for years and years, and now all of a sudden Nick is this big brother, and he's helping Abby through this whole decision of whether or not she should marry Tyler. And Nick confronts Tyler in the gym at the athletic club and, says, what are your intentions here? And I don't trust Mariah. And Tyler declares his love for Abby, that he's completely done helping Mariah. And also, I think Tyler gives Nick a little bit of insight into who Mariah is, saying, she always just had one person to lean on. It was always me. I was all she had. Again, has nothing like Lily. I can't find one single parallel between Mariah and Lily. If you can, please tell me. But Nick goes back to Sharon and says, I'm concerned that, after having talked to Tyler, that if Mariah is the kind of person that always has to lean on one person, now that Tyler's done with her, I'm concerned that she's going to do that to you, that you're going to become her one and only source of help. And Sharon says, you don't have to worry about me, Nick. I mean, I have my eyes wide open when it comes to her, and I thought this was interesting. Sharon said, I'm not interested in helping Mariah because Mariah reminds me of Cassie. I want to help her because she reminds me of myself. I really liked that, and I think that may come into play later. I mean, she's got to be her daughter, right? I mean, eventually, I assume we'll find that out. It cannot be a coincidence that she looks exactly like Cassie. So I don't know, we'll have to see. Sharon goes to Portland, comes back. There's a moment where she and Nick are having their little reunion alone in the living room. Sharon reveals that she was able to get Mariah completely off the hook. The charges were dropped. Nick is relieved. Yay, I'm so glad you left her in Portland, back where she belongs. We're done with Mariah. We can get on with our lives. And just at that very moment, Mariah walks out of Sharon's kitchen, having clearly made herself at home. I mean, like, the girl's lived there all her life, and Nick is shocked and not happy about it, of course. I just hope that Mariah is not staying in Cassie's old room that's gonna get weird. Hopefully she has like her own new, let's stay in Noah's room or a different part of the suite, a different suite in Nick and Sharon's house, because that will be weird. Nick, he is concerned, but Sharon keeps telling him, please trust me. All I'm asking you to do is trust me that I know what I'm doing. They have a beautiful lovemaking session, and Nick agrees. He's going to help Sharon, help Mariah. Mariah needs to pay back Sharon in money for for the lawyer, which is ridiculous because Sharon doesn't need the money. Sharon doesn't need Mariah to pay her back. Mariah does not have to work any kind of job to pay back Sharon. It's just not necessary. If it was about money, Sharon could have called it even. It's fine. Go on. I mean, what could the lawyers possibly have cost? $100,000? Drop in the bucket to Sharon Newman. She could have let Mariah stay in Portland. There's a deeper connection that's going on here. Nick decides to offer to let Mariah have a job at the Underground. So she's going to be working probably a minimum wage job with tips to pay Sharon back, which is totally unnecessary. It's really all about Nick keeping an eye on her. He wants to keep his eyes really, really securely on Mariah to make sure, just as a second set of eyes, that Mariah is not playing Sharon. So for now, it seems like Mariah is sticking around. It seems like she's trying to turn a new leaf. She goes to Tyler and Abby, who are having another breakup session. Tyler's trying to convince Abby to marry him, and she's not having it. They're in the park kind of fighting publicly. Mariah comes up to them and apologizes and actually encourages Abby to go back to Tyler. She's like, I'm sorry, I didn't realize you guys had broken up. I apologize for any role I had in that. I think you should forgive him, Abby. I think you guys should be together. So it seems like Mariah's turning a new leaf. It seems like Abby wants to forgive him, but at the same time, she doesn't. He asks her to take the ring back. She won't do it. She's not entirely ready to move forward with Tyler. She doesn't trust him as much now. My question for you is, as viewers, do we even want this couple back together? Okay, everybody, that does it for me. Please feel free to leave your comments. I love hearing from you guys. I hope that you had a good week and that you enjoyed our show, and we'll see where we are next week in Genoa City. I'll be back next Sunday to chat with you again about it. I love you guys. I'll see you then. Bye.